Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive.
Glad to be here.
Today, we're heading to Honolulu, Hawaii.
Ooh, sounds nice.
But not for vacation, no.
No.
No, we're going to be exploring the
Yeah.
life and crimes of Eugene Barrett,
Eugene Barrett. Okay.
a serial killer
Oh, wow.
whose story spans decades.
Oh, decades. Wow. Okay.
You provided some excerpts from a document on him,
Right.
and it's a heavy read.
It is. It's really, this case just makes you wonder, about the nature of evil.
Yeah.
What transforms someone from an average person
Right, exactly.
into someone who does these horrific acts?
You know, you'd expect to find some red flags in his childhood or something.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
But the document you provided doesn't really reveal much about those early years.
Right.
It says he was born in Oakland, California
Okay.
in 1931,
Okay.
moved to Honolulu,
Okay.
attended Washington Intermediate School,
Uh-huh.
but dropped out in ninth grade. You know, nothing particularly alarming there.
No, that's what's so perplexing about these cases,
Right.
What happens during those missing years?
Yeah.
What unseen events or influences kind of shape
Yeah.
a trajectory toward that kind of violence?
Yeah.
Those are the questions we may never have the answer to, unfortunately.
Yeah, we may never know. Then he joins the army, fights in the Korean War.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that almost seems contradictory to everything we'll learn about
A
him.
real jarring contrast.
Yeah.
Yet, though, his military service does hint at what's to come,
Okay.
He receives a dishonorable discharge in 1955
Wow.
for, get this, excessive drinking.
Oh, wow.
It kind of suggests this struggle with impulsivity and control,
Okay, yeah.
which sadly become defining factors in his later actions.
Makes you wonder if there's like a link maybe between
Right, yeah.
the wartime experiences and this lack of control.
Could be some underlying trauma never addressed.
So after the military, he returns to Honolulu
Okay.
and starts a relationship with Annie Phillips,
Okay.
a divorced mother of 5.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I mean, taking on that responsibility,
Right, yeah.
especially with, some personal demons to battle,
Right.
seems like a recipe for disaster.
It really does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And the document does suggest those demons eventually did take over.
Yeah.
Unemployment and heavy drinking ultimately lead to Phillips ending the relationship.
Okay.
And Barrett, unable to cope with the rejection, he goes to her apartment and shoots her.
Oh, wow.
A real tragedy.
Yeah.
Made even worse by the fact that her children were in the living room
Oh, my gosh.
and witnessed the events leading up to the murder.
Oh.
I mean, the trauma inflicted on a family
Yeah.
in a situation like this
Oh, yeah.
is immeasurable, impacting not only the immediate victims,
Right.
but future generations as well.
It's just disturbing.
It is.
And what's even more disturbing is the account of his reaction afterwards,
Right.
While he claimed he was too drunk to remember,
Mm-hmm.
witnesses said that he actually said Phillips deserved it.
Ugh, that's chilling.
Chillin' lack of remorse there.
You're absolutely right. That absence of remorse, this
Yeah.
emotional detachment,
Yeah.
is a disturbing indicator often observed in individuals who commit violent acts.
Yeah.
It's as though they create this mental separation from the gravity of their actions.
Wow. So he's found guilty,
Okay.
sentenced to life in prison.
Okay.
You'd think that would be the end of it.
Yeah.
Just 8 years later,
Oh.
in 1967, his sentence is reduced and he's paroled.
Oh, wow.
I mean, doesn't that highlight a flaw in the system? Maybe prioritizing rehabilitation over the need to protect potential victims.
It absolutely raises questions about the justice system's approach to
Yeah.
these cases. How do we balance punishment
Right.
with rehabilitation,
Mhm.
especially when dealing with violent offenders?
Yeah.
How do we accurately assess the risk of recidivism, ensuring the safety of the community?
Right, because as we know, he doesn't exactly turn his life around.
Oh, no.
He returns to Honolulu,
Okay.
and in 1971, he marries Roberta Ululani Avero.
Okay.
I mean, it's almost eerie how history seems to be repeating itself here.
It really does.
Yeah.
The marriage was short-lived.
Okay.
Avero filed for divorce in 1972,
Okay.
citing Barrett's drinking as the main issue.
Oh, wow.
Tragically, just a month later, he stabs her multiple times in her hotel room.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, do you think this cycle of rejection
Yeah.
and violence
Yeah.
points to deeper psychological issues at play.
I mean, it's gotta.
Could it be a manifestation of unresolved trauma? Maybe. Or perhaps a personality disorder characterized by an inability to regulate emotions?
Yeah, those are excellent questions.
Yeah.
And, ones that criminologists grapple with all the time.
All the time. Yep.
The document doesn't really provide, like, a psychological evaluation of him or anything like that.
Right.
But the pattern is certainly striking.
Yeah.
He pleads guilty to manslaughter this time.
Oh,
Receives a 10-year sentence.
10 years. Okay.
And, you guessed it, paroled again in 1976.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, it almost feels like a failure
Right.
to protect potential victims.
It's a valid concern, unfortunately, a debate
Yeah.
that continues to this day.
Yeah.
How do we prevent these tragedies from happening again?
Right.
Is it stricter sentencing?
Yeah.
Better rehab programs? Or, maybe early intervention focusing on mental health and anger management?
Yeah.
These are complex issues with no easy answers.
Yeah, absolutely. For about a decade, it seems like he lived a relatively peaceful life.
Okay.
He's still drinking, exhibiting, unstable behavior,
Right.
but no confirmed murders during this time.
Okay, that's good at least.
So he's living in an apartment complex on Kenow Street.
Okay.
And this is where he encounters Denacia, Roxanne Kastner.
Okay, Denacia Kastner, all right.
So Kastner, a neighbor in the same complex,
Right.
she had her own struggles.
Right.
Substance abuse, a history of sexual abuse.
Oh, wow.
And while the document doesn't confirm a romantic relationship between them,
Okay.
it does highlight Barrett's growing resentment and jealousy towards her.
Oh, wow.
Almost like he developed like a warped sense of possessiveness,
Right.
fueled by paranoia,
Right.
He accused her of mocking him, dating other men,
Oh, wow.
even indecent exposure.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, could this be an example of projection, maybe?
Possibly.
Where he attributed his own insecurities and anxieties onto her?
Yeah, it's a possibility. His paranoia seemed to reach a boiling point, though.
Really?
He started calling friends,
Yeah.
confessing his fear of harming Kastner.
Wow.
This is kind of a crucial moment in the narrative, right?
Okay, yeah.
He acknowledges his potential for violence,
Yeah.
even checks himself into the Queen's Medical Center for psychiatric treatment.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it suggests a level of self-awareness, maybe, however fleeting it might have been,
Yeah.
of the danger he posed.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, though, this temporary reprieve, it wouldn't last.
No.
August 1995, he's released from the hospital.
Okay.
Kastner had moved to a different apartment in the same complex.
Oh, okay.
And this seems to just enrage him.
Oh, wow.
It's tragic how her mere existence became a trigger.
Oh, yeah.
And so building on this pattern of escalating paranoia, right?
Yeah.
We see things take a very tragic turn in 1995,
Okay.
August 11th.
Uh-huh.
He spends the day drinking with his brother and a friend.
Okay.
Later, he sees Kastner entering her apartment and
Oh.
something snaps.
So he goes back to his apartment,
Oh, no.
grabs a .25 semi-automatic pistol,
Oh, gosh.
and heads straight for Kastner's place.
Oh, wow.
You know what's really chilling about this?
What's that?
He actually passed Kastner's son
No.
playing outside
Oh, my God.
before going in and shooting her.
Oh, no.
Twice in the head.
Wow.
The document says her son witnessed Barrett leaving
Ow.
and immediately called his father,
Oh, geez.
who alerted the authorities.
This detail, I mean, it just adds another layer
Yeah.
of complexity
Yeah.
to an already horrific situation.
Right.
Not only does it demonstrate, like, this level of premeditation,
Yeah.
but it also brings to light the potential for intergenerational trauma.
Oh, yeah.
This young boy, having witnessed such a horrific event,
Right.
he'll likely carry the psychological scars
Oh, yeah,
of
absolutely.
that experience
Yeah.
for years to come.
It's just,
It speaks volumes
yeah.
about these devastating ripple effects
Yeah.
of these crimes,
It's just all.
reaching far beyond the immediate victim.
Kastner was rushed to Queen's Medical Center, but
Yeah.
tragically, she didn't survive. This time, the police were quick to respond.
Okay.
They found the murder weapon,
Right.
issued an arrest warrant for Barrett.
Facing the inevitable,
Yeah.
Barrett surrenders at the Columbia Inn the following day.
Interesting.
This surrender, unlike his previous claims of amnesia or intoxication,
Yeah.
it might suggest
Okay.
a degree of clarity,
Okay.
perhaps even a recognition,
Yeah.
of the severity
Of actions.
of his actions this time.
Yeah, so he's arrested, charged with murder, theft,
Okay.
unlawful possession of a firearm.
Mm-hmm.
His bail was set at $120,000.
Okay.
Public outrage was palpable, you know.
Yeah.
Many were furious that he had been released,
Yeah.
not once but twice,
Right.
after committing such violent acts.
Yeah.
The justice system was under intense scrutiny.
Yes, rightfully so. It sparks that debate, that ongoing debate
Mm-hmm.
about our responsibility to protect society
Right.
while also offering those opportunities for rehabilitation.
Yeah.
Yeah. This case, it brings to light
Yeah.
the complexities of parole boards,
Yeah.
assessing
Yeah.
that risk of recidivism,
Right. I mean,
what warning signs were missed,
exactly.
what systemic changes could be implemented
Yeah.
to prevent these tragedies in the future.
Adding to the complexity, Ethan Kastner,
Yeah.
the Neshia's son,
Right.
was called to testify against Barrett.
Oh, my goodness.
That had to be incredibly difficult, you know,
It had to be, yeah.
having to relive such a traumatic experience
Absolutely.
at such a young age.
The courtroom can be a daunting place even for adults
Yeah.
and for a child, especially one who's witnessed such violence.
Oh, yeah.
The process of testifying
Yeah.
could potentially re-traumatize them.
Oh, yeah.
It highlights the need, I think,
Yeah.
for trauma-informed approaches within the legal system,
Right.
ensuring the well-being of these vulnerable witnesses.
Yeah. Ethan's testimony, along with that of a neighbor who heard gunshots
Yeah.
and the boy crying, right, painted a clear picture of what happened.
Yeah.
It's almost as if the weight of his actions finally caught up with Barrett.
Yeah.
He requested to remain incarcerated,
Really?
saying he needed to deal with his problem.
This acknowledgement of a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be interpreted in a number of ways, right?
Right.
Is it genuine remorse,
Mm-hmm.
a plea for help,
Yeah.
or perhaps a calculated attempt to manipulate the system?
Right. Yeah.
It's impossible to know for sure,
Yeah.
but it does offer us a glimpse
Yeah.
into that complex internal struggle he might have been facing.
Absolutely. So his bail was revoked.
Okay.
He remained in custody awaiting trial.
Okay.
At trial, Barrett's attorney tried to argue that his actions were a result
Yeah.
of Kastner's perceived mistreatment.
This strategy of shifting blame to the victim,
Yeah.
it's sadly not uncommon in these types of cases.
No, you see it all the time.
It often reflects this deep-seated inability
Right.
to accept responsibility for one's actions.
Right.
It's a defense mechanism that allows the perpetrator
Yeah.
to kind of maintain this distorted view of reality,
Yeah.
avoiding accountability.
But Barrett himself confessed, saying he wanted to kill the bitch
Oh, wow.
for choosing other men over him.
Wow.
Was this a moment of brutal honesty or a desperate attempt to control the narrative?
It's difficult to say for sure,
Right.
but his statement, it does provide, I think,
Yeah.
a chilling insight into his distorted thinking.
Yeah.
It's a stark reminder that violence often stems from this sense of entitlement,
Yeah.
possessiveness, this
Yeah.
belief that one has the right to control another person's life
Absolutely.
and choices.
The jury found him guilty on all counts.
Okay.
He was sentenced to life in prison
Okay.
with a minimum of 40 years
Right.
before parole eligibility.
Yeah.
Essentially a life sentence without parole.
Prosecutor Fred Titcomb expressed relief at the verdict, but also criticized, the previous commutations of Barrett's sentences.
Right.
This case, I mean, with its tragic outcome,
Yeah.
it really forces us to examine
Yeah.
the effectiveness
Right.
of our criminal justice system.
Right. I mean, how can we better protect the vulnerable
Exactly.
while also offering meaningful opportunities
Right.
for rehabilitation?
It's a difficult balance to strike,
Absolutely.
and one that requires,
Yeah.
ongoing scrutiny
Right.
and reform.
So we've covered Barrett's crimes,
Yeah.
but now we move into the final chapter of his story.
Okay.
The document mentions that after his sentencing,
Right.
he was transferred to a prison in Oklahoma.
This physical separation from Hawaii, I mean,
Yeah.
the place where his crimes took place,
Yeah.
it adds like this symbolic layer
Okay.
to his punishment.
Okay. Yeah.
Removed from that familiar environment,
Right.
he's forced to confront,
Yeah.
the consequences of his actions
Mm.
in isolation.
His contact with family was limited.
Okay.
His son wanted nothing to do with him.
Wow.
And it was mainly his son's wife
Oh, wow.
who would send him pictures
Oh, okay.
of his grandsons.
This detail really speaks to
Yeah.
the complex dynamics of those family relationships,
Absolutely.
especially in the face of these horrific crimes.
Right.
It raises questions about, forgiveness, accountability,
Yeah.
and the enduring bonds
Yeah.
that can sometimes transcend
Yeah.
even the most egregious actions.
In 2003, Barrett was transferred back to Hawaii,
Oh, okay.
to the Halawa Correctional Facility.
Okay.
Not to freedom, of course.
Right.
I mean, it seems like a strange twist of fate,
It does, yeah.
bringing him back to the place
Yeah.
where it all began.
It does, doesn't it? This return to Hawaii, while not to freedom,
Yeah.
I mean, it could be interpreted in a few ways, right?
Right.
Perhaps it was a logistical decision by the correctional system.
That's right.
But symbolically, it could be seen as a way for him to confront his past.
Yeah.
To face,
Yeah.
the ghosts of his actions
Yeah.
on the very soil where they occurred.
The document doesn't really go into detail about his time at Halawa,
Okay.
but it does mention his declining health. And sadly, on November 8th, 2003, at the age of 72,
Okay.
Eugene Barrett died
Okay.
at Palimomi Medical Center in Waimalu.
It's a somber ending
Yeah,
to a life filled with darkness and violence.
it is.
And while his death signifies, the end of his physical journey,
Yeah,
the ripple effects of his actions, they continue to reverberate.
they do.
I mean, this case, it leaves us with a lot of unanswered questions.
Yeah, it does.
But it also offers, I think,
Yeah.
valuable insights into the human psyche, the
Absolutely.
complexities of our criminal justice system.
So we've spent, this whole episode
Right.
delving into the life and crimes of Eugene Barrett. Yeah. Examining his past, his relationships,
Right.
his descent into violence.
Yeah.
It's a lot to unpack, you know?
It is, yeah.
What do you think is the most important takeaway for our listeners?
That's a great question. I mean, if I had to choose one key takeaway,
Yeah.
it'd be this. Barrett's story
Yeah.
is a stark reminder
Yeah.
that the choices we make,
Mm-hmm.
the impulses we control
Yeah.
or succumb to,
Yeah.
can have devastating
Yeah.
and far-reaching consequences.
Absolutely.
His life, marked by violence,
Yeah.
ultimately ending in confinement, it serves as a cautionary tale, I think.
It really makes you think about the victims and their families,
Yeah.
and the enduring impact of
Right.
his actions. Their lives, their stories should never be forgotten.
Absolutely. And while we've explored, Barrett's story in detail,
Yeah.
it's crucial to remember
Yeah.
that the true tragedy
Yeah.
lies with those he harmed.
Right.
Annie Phillips, Roberta Avero, Donacia Kastner.
Right.
Their lives were cut short.
Yeah.
Their futures stolen.
Yeah.
And the trauma inflicted upon their families, especially young Ethan Kastner.
Right.
I mean, it's immeasurable.
So, we've explored the facts, the timeline of events,
Yeah.
the psychological complexities.
Right.
But what about the bigger picture? What can we learn from this deep dive into Eugene Barrett's life and crimes that can help us, move forward?
I think it really underscores the need for a multifaceted approach to addressing violence in our society.
Right.
It highlights, the importance of mental health awareness and intervention, the need for effective rehabilitation programs within the criminal justice system, and just the continuous evaluation of parole board procedures to ensure public safety.
You're absolutely right. I mean, this case isn't just about one man's actions.
Right. Exactly.
It's about systemic issues, societal responsibility,
Absolutely.
in the pursuit of, justice and healing for all those affected.
Exactly. And by understanding, I think, the factors that contribute to these horrific acts, we can work towards prevention, towards creating a world where these tragedies are less likely to occur.
Well, I want to thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been, a heavy topic.
It has been, yeah.
But a necessary one.
Absolutely.
I encourage all our listeners to, continue exploring, learn more about these cases, and to, engage in thoughtful discussions about the complexities of crime and punishment.
Thank you for having me. And to our listeners, remember, knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
But understanding the darker aspects of human nature, we can strive to create a brighter future.